We get questions all the time from listeners who don't understand how an appraisal works. So could you give us a layman's description of how an appraisal works, why you need an appraisal, and then sort of what is the appraiser doing in trying to determine value of a home?
An appraisal is an unbiased estimate of market value. So our job is to put ourselves in the shoes of a typical buyer,
right?
And look for other properties in the area and use them as what we call comparables, make adjustments back and forth, and try to arrive at what the current market value is.
Okay. And why I think I know the answer, but why are appraisals typically done? Are 90 or 95% done to help a bank understand the value of the property?
Exactly. The bank's looking to make sure their collateral is sound before they make the loan. One common error that many folks make is they look at every sale in the subdivision as if it were a comparable, and it's not. There could be 15 sales and maybe only 3 of them are truly comparable. We're only going to use the sales in that similar phase that are in similar condition, quality and size and what have you, and then we're going to branch out to where a buyer would go to look for the next most similar property.
If you can't find one in the neighborhood, then you might stay in the school district or zip code or something like that. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
What is the biggest, Scott, driver of value? Is it the features of the home or is it the size of the home?
Generally it's the size, but of course the overall condition, especially if you're talking in areas where you're 20, 30 years old. The homes that are totally renovated, they create their own market right there. And as we move into these millennial generations and others, there's so many that buyers that just have no interest in fixing up a house. So I always tell sellers it's very important to make sure that you bring the house up to current day standards, make it appealing to the largest segment possible, make it so that a buyer can come in and really not have to do much of anything.
Tell us why sometimes the biggest homes in the neighborhood tend to sell for the least amount per square foot, and the smallest homes tend to sell for the most amount per square foot, because it really doesn't seem to make sense on the surface.
It doesn't, and it's a term that we do not use at all in the appraisal process, particularly here in the Atlanta market where we've got basements, because the term price per square foot is your sales price divided by your above grade gross living area. So, you get into economies of scale. When you get larger homes, they're going to sell a little bit less per square foot. But one home might have a pool and the other doesn't. That's going to drive that sales price way up and make it look like it's a higher price per square foot.
We found 2 years ago that the appraised values, the values of the property as identified by an appraiser, were coming in a little short of what the buyers and sellers thought the right value for the property was. Is that a problem that's still common in today's market, or is that starting to kind of settle down and the issues being alleviated somewhat?
It has settled down. An appraisal is somewhat of a lagging indicator because we have to use properties that have sold.
Yeah, you can't
Buyers
use
and
just
sellers,
listings. You can't use just a listing. Okay.
You can't use a listing because somebody could ask whatever they want. Now, that's not to say we don't look at those.
Right.
They kind of give us an indication which direction the market's going. We look closely at pending, so I try to run down what that property's under contract for, because that's going to be the most recent sale when it happened. The difference between one that closed 2 or 3 months ago and the same house that closes today is appreciation. And we know most parts of Atlanta right now are still appreciating. And so the appraiser needs to go back in, analyze that, and add for that appreciation. And
make a little adjustment.